All right, everyone, the devil is back and he's ready for some more vengeance. Let's talk about it. What's going on, everyone? Welcome to Movie Emporium's TV review of the Disney Plus original series, Daredevil Born Again. This is a continuation of the Netflix Daredevil TV series, and I guess it's fourth season, so there you go. Okay, so this is a spoiler-free discussion of this series. I have seen all 9 episodes, so I'm not going to spoil what happens at the end, but I will go into kind of what this series is entailing when it comes to the kind of the plot and stuff like that. So, but it won't be like major details. So there you go. So Daredevil on Netflix was hugely popular, probably one of the most popular shows that has ever appeared on Netflix. It has now been kind of controlled over to Disney and Marvel Studios and Kevin Feige. And through all the trials and tribulations, we now have a new season, technically, of Daredevil with Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio and so on and so forth. So to get into a kind of spoiler-free plot device for this series, for this new season, Daredevil slash Matt Murdock and his friends Kate and Foggy have started their own course firm. It has become big, so on and so forth, as we saw in the first 3 seasons. And an inciting incident causes Daredevil slash Murdock to question what it is to be a superhero. And on the other side of the spectrum, he has to pay attention to the simple fact that Wilson Fisk, played by Vincent D'Onofrio, is now the mayor of New York City, a famous comic story in the Marvel comic series and whatnot. And basically what this season does is it entails what it is to be a superhero, what happens when a powerful figurehead wants to go against vigilantism and superheroism, and how does that kind of play out on a political slash ideological level when it comes to the nature of what people believe. And so on top of everything, Matt Murdock is of course doing his lawyering stuff. We have some like brand new characters, and of course we have Foggy and Karen that come into the mix who are from the original series. So basically what this season is doing is adding in that Kingpin New York City mayor storyline, as well as the questions of what it is to be a superhero when things happen that are out of your control, and what do you do in that situation. So with that said, that's kind of the best way to talk about the season without really spoiling anything. But the first 3 seasons of Daredevil, once again, are very popular. And of course, Netflix sold it to Disney. They finally have the rights to it. It is now part of the Disney MCU. And I was a big fan of at least the first 2 seasons. I got to admit that I didn't watch a lot of the 3rd season just because I just forgot about it, to be fairly honest. A lot of stuff happens. It's just, I have to go back and rewatch it, because I will say that this 4th season definitely heavily implies what happens in those 3 seasons. But it's a series that has justified its fact that it is one of the best Marvel series to come out in quite a while. So this is a highly anticipated series. It's gone through a lot of stuff, whether it be bringing back Foggy and Karen, dealing with that scenario, that situation, bringing all that stuff back. This was originally going to be like a complete reboot. Now it's just kind of a soft reboot in a lot of ways by bringing some new characters in, but it brings back Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio, which are the 2 main staples for this series, so that is a plus. And it was retooled to finally be 2 9-episode seasons. So here's how I lie on this technically 4th season of Daredevil, if you want to think about it as my honest review. What I can say is you have to keep with this season. It definitely has some interesting ideas. It has some really kind of thought-provoking stuff. It deals with, once again, with the superhero scenario. I think Charlie Cox and of course Vincent D'Onofrio are great. My major qualms lie with the fact that it's quite slow. A lot of the stuff you expect out of Daredevil, especially in a season when if you remember back in like the 1st and 2nd season, there was a lot of action going on. There was a lot of, fighting in hallways. There was a lot of stuff that kept the story going and kept it interesting, that depending on how you feel about the Daredevil series, may lose you throughout quite a bit of this series, because it is about politicking. It is about the nature of what superheroes are, the nature of the fact that Wilson Fisk, Kingpin, starts this kind of group of individuals that are kind of like the Shield, the group in the Shield, the TV show, where they kind of are a task force that is above the law in a lot of respects, I guess you could say. And it also deals with, like, is Wilson Fisk on the level, because he's trying to quote unquote deal with the corruption in a cityscape, by sound familiar. how that makes you feel is going to be determined on how you feel about the season, because once again, having watched all 9 episodes, I could definitely say if you stick with it, it definitely pays off in a pretty cool way, to be fairly honest. It definitely does some interesting stuff that will lean into the second season. I don't hate the season. I just think it's pretty slow, to be fairly honest. I think it attempts to be more of a political thriller in a lot of respects, but it also contains Wilson Fisk and Matt Murdock in a lot of respects. And with the inciting incident, it's going to be a very interesting thing to watch what people really truly think about this series. But once again, this review is coming out pretty much when the series premieres, so take that for what it's worth. But I think everybody does a really nice job. I think this series for the most part looks on the part. It's very violent. It's very mature. It's definitely keeping in line with what the 3 season series did. And I think overall, I think it's just a really fun, really entertaining thing that really just struggles sometimes to get what it needs to do. And you have people like Michael Gandolfini in this, who is the son of James Gandolfini, who I didn't really care for in this season. I think he's a little over the top and silly, and there's a couple of new characters like Margarita Levieva, who plays a love interest to Matt Murdock, and there's Sabrina Guevara, who plays Matt Murdock's kind of cohort when it comes to his lawyering and stuff like that. Also has Clark Johnson, who is a director slash actor, who comes in as a police detective. And I think it does some really interesting stuff. It does some really interesting takes on this world of Daredevil, and I think it's trying to be more than just a superhero show. And it's from some creators who have worked on the last Daredevil shows. It's also being directed a lot and written a lot from Aaron Moorhead and Justin Benson, who of course worked on Moon Knight and a couple other Marvel shows at this point. And I think once again, as long as you keep going with it, I think you'll find some really interesting things with it. I think a lot of people will enjoy it because it does have the tendency to feel like Daredevil, and it does some Daredevil stuff. But it's just different in a lot of respects. It tends to want to be more low-key and more kind of self-contained when it comes to what it's trying to do than kind of what it has done. And it brings back characters that it also, of course, spoiler alert or not spoiler alert, if you've seen behind the scenes photos, John Berenthal comes back, and I can't tell you when he comes back, but he comes back in the series, and that's really cool because he played the Punisher, and it's cool that they're bringing him into the series. Once again, I do have to say that this is a very mature show. It's very violent. It has a lot of language, so it's going to be very different than a lot of the other Disney Plus Marvel shows. But I think if you're used to the Netflix series, I think that you'll jump right on board. It's just how you feel about where the season goes and how it continues forward is going to be completely up to how you feel about lower, more slowed down tendencies when it comes to Marvel shows. Because if you think about it, a lot of shows are like 6 episodes when it comes to Marvel Cinematic Universe shows, so they have to do a lot. Here we get 9 episodes, so it really feels like a more well-rounded season in a lot of respects. And once again, I think Vincent D'Onofrio is truly one of the great villains of a series, especially when it comes to Marvel characters. And I think the fact that they made him like the mayor of New York, which once again is a major storyline, I think really helps the cinematic universe. And I think it's gonna be really interesting to see how they use these characters. But once again, to kind of conclude this review, I enjoyed it. I think it's fun. I think it's entertaining. I think it has its issues when it comes to pacing. I think it could have been like 1 episode less, but I think what it does, and I think it, where it ends and how it has the cliffhangers that it does, I think it's perfectly good. It does have an end credit sequence, so look out for that in the last episode. But other than that, that's kind of where I lie with the spoiler-free version of Daredevil Born Again. It's back. It's worth watching. And for my score, let's give it 8 out of 10, because like I said, it's not the best season of the series, but it is definitely worth a watch, and it's definitely the best of the Marvel Cinematic Universe shows for sure. I mean, it's better than WandaVision, to be fairly honest, so that's a big task. But yeah, there you go. That's my take on Daredevil Born Again. So with that said, thank you so much for watching. Comments below, what is your favorite season of Daredevil? Are you looking forward to Daredevil Born Again, which I'm sure you are, because it's going to be a huge hit. But let me know in the comments below, what do you think of the show? So there you go. Anyways, with that said, thank you so much for watching. If you like what you see on this channel, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell at top to find what's coming next. If you like this video, awesome. Hit that like button, and we'll see you guys on the next video. Peace out, guys.